Okay, welcome everyone. We're going to start just by coming to the front of our mats. So let's just come here now. I'd like everyone just to begin with a bit of Surya Namaskar A, which is our sun salutation. So we're going to start with toes together, heels slightly apart, slight bend in the knees, and on our in-breath, we're going to reach up really high to the sky here. Hands touch above the head, okay? And then we're going to dive down. We're going to get our chest to our quads. Okay, we're going to get our hands on the ground. Nice big bend in the knees as we forward fold. And then we're going to straighten the legs straight back into our half bend. And then we're going to jump or step back into a plank position here. Okay, from this position, we're going to have our elbows pointing back and we're going to come down through Chaturanga Dandasana. Toes point away from us now as we come into an upward dog. And then a downward dog. And the downward dog is going to be the first posture that we focus on today. I really want you to think of this as an upper body pose, okay? We're not going to worry about the lower body at all until we start thinking about the following, okay? So I want you to push that mat or push the floor with your hands away from your body. I know you're not actually going to be able to move it, but really just push your hands really deeply into the mat. I want you then to try and get your chest as close to your quads as you can. Okay, let the head just hang down, no tension in the neck. Take a nice deep breath here, and only then are we going to think, as I'm now doing, about lowering the heels towards the ground, okay? Don't worry about how low the heels go. Temptation is to think of this as solely a kind of a lower body stretch, but it's not. It's really an upper body pose more than anything else, okay? Now I've just brought a bit of tension into my neck there. So that's just something that I need to remember not to do. So just to review the key points here in downward dog, we're pushing the floor away from us. We're letting the head hang down. We're bringing the chest towards the knees. And only then are we thinking about lowering the ankles down. Okay, so let's step or jump forward to the front of our mats as we come into a half bend, straight legs straight back. Then we're going to just fold all the way down, chest to knees, okay? As big a bend in the legs as you need in order to glue the chest to the quads. And then we're going to reach up as high as we can, extend fully, and we're going to come down through prayer. So we're going to do that sun salutation again, okay? And this time, I'm not going to give the instructions for downward dog until we've done it a couple of breaths. So see if you can remember those 4 key points that we had. So let's reach up towards the sky. As we exhale, we're going to fold. Half bend, so straight legs straight back. Step or jump back into a plank. Point the toes back, chaturanga, and then up dog. And let's come into a downward dog. So just try and run through in your mind the checklist of what we need to do for the down dog. If you can't remember, I will tell you in a little moment. But just see if you can recall all the key pointers that we've spoken about. So the first one is pushing that floor away from you with your hands. The second one, letting that head hang down. The third one is to get that chest as close to the legs as you can. And the final one then is to let the heels sink down towards the ground. So we're going to do this one more time, and I'm not going to give you any instructions the third time. I want you to try and remember it all for yourself, okay? So let's step or jump to the front of our mats into a half bend. Forward fold. We're going to reach up. And we're going to come down through prayer. Brilliant. Well done, guys. So let's do that sun salutation one more time, and you're going to remember everything about the down dog pose here. So let's reach up. As we fold down into a forward fold. Half bend here. Step or jump back, chaturanga, upward dog, into a down dog, and you are going to remember the key pointers now. Remember breathing through the nose, not the mouth where possible. And just before we come out of posture, remember we're pushing the ground away, letting the head hang down, chest towards the feet, and finally let those heels come down. Okay, let's step or jump forward into our half bend, into a forward fold now. Let the head hang down, and let's reach up now. Excellent, and we'll come down through prayer. So we're going to focus on that forward fold a little bit now. What I want you to do is just get the feet about hip width distance apart. And we're going to work on some forward folds here. We'll just do a few variations here to just go over the key components of it. So first thing that we want to do is we want to take our big finger and our index finger, and we're going to grab hold of our big toe, okay? So our big toes. So as big a bend as you need. Really glue the chest to your quads, okay? Bend the knees as much as you need in order to do that. All right, make sure you've got hold of that big toe. And what we're now going to do is we're going to imagine that our head has become incredibly heavy and our buttocks have become incredibly light. And we're going to keep that chest glued to the quads. And with each exhalation, we're going to lower the head towards the ground. And we're going to then raise the glutes a little bit higher. Okay, so let's just do that for a few breaths. All the time breathing through the nose. Excellent. I'm going to keep hold of the toes and just half bend here. So try and straighten the legs and the back out a little bit. There probably will be a bend in your back. You can probably see it in mine here. Okay, that's no problem. And what we're going to do now, as we bend the legs again and bring the chest to the quads, we're going to put our hands under our feet. Okay, so they're going to go between the mat and the feet. Okay, and what I want you to do again is just point those elbows up, keep the chest glued to the quads, and again just work with the breath, raising the glutes up, lowering the head down. 5 breaths here. Excellent. That half bend, so straight legs, straight back. And we're going to release the hands from under the feet. We're going to do a final version of the forward fold now. What we're going to do is we're going to place our hands on the back of our calves, okay? So again, keep the chest glued to the quads, okay? Hands on the back of the calves now, and just try and get that head as low as you can with each exhalation, and try and raise those glutes up as high as you can, all the time, keeping that chest glued to the leg muscles. 5 breaths here. Brilliant. And out of pose we come. So another really, really fundamental pose that we're going to be working on. Let's just come wide now on our mats with our legs. Okay. We're going to be working on wide-legged forward fold. It's really, really important posture, this one. Okay. Definitely. Sorry, just having someone just join the room here. I'll let them in. So yeah, coming wide on the mats. All right. And come and bring our hands up nice and wide. Hi, Rory. Welcome.
Sorry, mate, sir.
Yeah, no worries at all. What I want you to do is really just stretch. Imagine that you're being pulled apart here from your hands, okay? You've got a bit of rope tied to each wrist, or maybe actually a bit of string coming out each of the fingers, and it's just pulling you as wide as you can manage here. Just try and keep the shoulder blades as close together as they can go. And what we're now going to do, just very gently, is we're going to bring the hands to the hips, and we're going to come into a half bend. So straight legs, straight back. The fingertips will touch down on the ground here, and then we might just elongate the stance a little bit. Just widen that stance into a more comfortable position, okay? And then we are going to get the palms on the ground. And with each exhalation, we're just going to try and go a little bit deeper into posture. Try and keep the back as straight as you can here, but don't worry if it does arch a little bit, okay? We'll do a few more breaths here. Okay, Okay, we're just going to gently come up out of pose, maybe wriggle the feet together a little bit as we reach our hands really nice and wide either side. And hands come onto hips again as we're just going to come into a half bend. And we're going to keep our hands on our hips now, elbows pointed up into the sky. Again, try and pivot from the hips. Don't worry if there's a bit of a bend in the back, but try and keep it to a minimal. And then we're going to fold again. So this is our B variation. We've got a C and D variation coming up after this. Remember, breathing deeply through the nose. You've got that piece of duct tape or that hand over the mouth. Okay, let's come out of posture now, reaching really wide either side. Nice, big, wide reach here. Still engaging the glutes, bringing the shoulder blades together. And what we're going to do, we're going to put the hands on hips again. We're going to come into our half bend. Now we're going to interlace the hands behind the back. We're going to push the palms up to the sky. Okay, so palms, not the knuckles up. And then we're going to fold again. 5 breaths. In our C posture. Pushing those hands as far up into the sky as they'll go. Really pushing the little toes into the mat as well. Don't neglect those. Okay, up we come from that position. Final time, maybe just bring the stance in a little bit for this last one. Hands come wide again. Okay, really engage the hands as wide as they'll go. Breathing nice and deep here. And hands come onto hips again. We're going to come into that half bend. But this time we're going to toe lock again. So grab hold of the big toe with the index and the middle finger. We're going to half bend, so straight leg, straight back. We're going to keep the elbows pointing up to the sky as we fold now. Now, because we've brought the legs in, you're not going to be able to go anywhere near as low. And that's just about activating some different muscle groups as well, which I think is really important here. And we'll half bend, so straight leg, straight back. Just for a couple of breaths. It's always nice to get a bit of a half bend in the wide-legged forward fold, particularly in this D pose, because you already have a grip on your toes. And then let's shoot up nice and wide and come to the front of your mat. Excellent. Right, I'm just going to have a little look at my sheet to see what we had up next. Okay, brilliant. We are going to do a little bit of pigeon pose now. So what we're going to do, we're just going to come through a forward fold. Okay, hands on the ground, stepping back, and I can see we've got someone else join us. So just come into a plank and hold the plank for a couple of breaths. Okay, I'll just let this person in. And what we're going to do in our plank is we're just going to stay nice and strong in this pillar position. Okay, and then what I want you to do, please, is bring your right knee to your right wrist. Okay. We're going to flex through the front foot, and we're going to have the back foot, the back toes pointing away from the body. And I'll take you through a few variations here. If this is where you feel your limit is, then stay here. Okay, but if you want to work with the breath, maybe to come down onto the elbows, then do that as well. Okay. And if it's available to you, if this is still feeling comfortable, just see how far you can get those hands out in front of you, and maybe the forehead will come down and touch the ground too. Okay. So be kind to yourself in this pose. It's a really difficult posture, this one, when done properly. You've probably found that your left hip has come away from the ground if your right leg is forward. Push that left hip down into the ground again, okay? If you feel any pain in your knees, just come out of posture, okay? Anytime you feel pain in any posture, you should come out of it. Couple more breaths here. Okay, brilliant. What we're going to do now, we're just going to come into high pigeon again, also known as king pigeon. It's kind of like an upward dog, but you've got that leg out in front. And what we're going to do here is maybe, again, if you want a little bit more, you could come down onto the elbows, but don't worry if you're high up. And we're going to reach that right hand as high into the sky as we can. But before we do that, we're going to lead with the with the shoulder. The shoulder comes up. Once the shoulder's gone as high as it can, then the elbow, and then the hand finally comes up. We're going to look up towards that hand. We're going to now thread that right hand under the left armpit. We're going to stretch that hand as far away from us under that left armpit as we can. Okay, and then we're going to look back over the right shoulder for our final iteration of pigeon before we do it on the other side. Okay, brilliant. Let's get the hands on the ground and let's now come back into plank. We'll just take one breath in plank, and then we're going to bring left knee to left wrist, unless you've just done the left, in which case do the right now. But I'm going to be doing my left. Okay, and we're going to be in king pigeon here, high pigeon. We're going to have that front foot flexed again. We're going to have those back toes pointing away from us, away from the body. And just find a place that's comfortable for you now. So if you want to be on your elbows, come down onto the elbow. Or if you're able to extend the hands away from you and come down to the forehead, just take 5 breaths wherever feels good for you right now. As always, breathing through the nose. You'll find now that your right hip wants to come off the ground. Push that right hip down towards the ground. Unless your right foot's forward, then it'll be your left hip. Keep yourself as flat as you can on the mat. You're all doing great. So come up onto your elbows or onto your hands. We're going to do those 2 twists now. So again, a nice way to do these twists is to, on the left side now, we're going to lead with the left shoulder comes first, then the left elbow comes up, and then finally the left hand comes up as we do our full twist now. Reach as high into the sky as you can, engage through the hands, looking up at those hands. We call our line of sight in yoga our drishti. So our drishti is up towards our hands. Couple more breaths here before we thread it under the other arm. So let's dive down with that hand now, thread it under the right armpit, stretch that hand as far away from us as we can go. Okay, and then we're going to be looking over the left shoulder now. Push that right hip down into the mat. I know it wants to come up. Don't let it. And if you feel any pain, particularly in your knees, just take it easy, all right? Yoga is about dispelling that ego, not feeding the fuel, feeding and fueling the fire. Brilliant. And just coming then nice and gently and slowly into a plank. We'll hold that plank for one more breath. And then we're just going to come onto our knees here. So let's just come and sit on our feet. If this is intense for you, you can use the hands to support the body weight a little bit here. And I'm just keeping half an eye on the time. So we've probably got time for one more set of poses before we finish with our meditation. If you need to go at any point, just leave the call. Don't worry about telling me. Okay, you can just head off. So let's come forward into a grounded lunge here. The first version is what we're going to do, left foot forward and then right foot back. The first version of this quadriceps work that we're going to do is just really moving the weight over that right knee. Okay, so we're going to pull that weight forward over that right knee. And just, if you like, all the skin is going to be on the toe side of the knee. So you're not going to catch that skin at all when you do any of this these iterations. Okay, now it might be the case as you bring the hands to the hips that you're just working now on just getting that center of gravity forward a little bit, and you should start to feel that in the quadricep. If that's enough for you, stay here. If you're able though, maybe you'll just grab hold of that foot with the right hand. Right foot comes to right hand, and maybe just working that up a little bit closer towards the glutes, and if you're able to catch hold of it, then maybe do. Okay, and just bring that right up to the glutes if you're able. But honestly, wherever you need to be, is perfect for you. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Just listen to your body and follow that, okay? We're going to hold wherever you are now for a few breaths, just trying to go a little deeper into posture with each exhalation. And again, if your foot's still on the ground, then just stay there and just work with that a bit longer. But if you've got hold of this foot, even if it's just with one hand, now just move it to the opposite hand, okay? So if you've got it in your right hand, switch to the left. If you've got it in both hands, just remove the right hand. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring that right hand to the left knee, and we're going to help lever ourselves into a twist here. We're going to look over that left shoulder. Elbows pointing back behind us. Okay, we get a nice twist here. Twisting is always so good for the spine, particularly given how much time we're spending at desks at the moment. Breathing deep. And I know it's not quad work, but it would be remiss of us not to do a cheeky little hamstring stretch. So let's just stretch that front foot out in front of us for a runner's lunge. Flex through that foot. Nice big deep breath in here as we just begin to hinge down. Try and keep that back straight, okay? Once you've reached your limit, take a big breath in. And on the exhalation, we can arch the back as much as we need and just bring that head down towards the forehead, down towards the knee, okay? 5 breaths here. And then we'll just finish on the other side before our Shavasana. If you really want a bit of extra just for the last couple of breaths, just pull those toes towards you, okay? You'll feel it a bit more in the calf that way. Okay, brilliant. Let's swap the feet around. And again, we're just going to begin this by pulling our weight over that knee, that back knee now, so that all the skin is just the toe edge side of that leg, all right? Hands come to hips. And again, if this is where you are for the bulk of the pose, then stay here. It's absolutely fine. But if you're able to, let's see if we can grab hold of that foot with the left hand now, left foot with left hand. And maybe 2 hands can get hold of it. Who knows? All right. But just work with your breath, work with your balance. Just do what's comfortable for you. Breathing through the nose. Okay. Really trying to keep that center of gravity forward, trying to keep that skin behind the body of that left knee. Okay. So just a couple of breaths wherever you are. And we're going to think about that twist now. So wherever you are, unless your foot is on the ground, and if your foot's on the ground, stay there. But if your foot's in the air and you're holding it, just try and hold the left foot now in the right hand. Bring the left hand to the right knee and look to point that right elbow back and then get a nice big twist. Look over that right shoulder now. Okay, 5 breaths here. Stay strong in the core. Don't forget to focus on that breath. And let's release that foot. And again, we'll just get a little runner's lunge in on this side. So flex through that front foot as you pointed away from you, heel onto the ground, toes in the air. We're going to hinge, keep that back nice and straight, strong in the core here. Once we reach our limit, once our hamstring stops us going any further, we then arch the spine, bring the forehead down towards the knee for a few breaths. Again, if you want a little bit more, just grab hold of those toes, pull them towards you, top of that foot. Gets quite intense, that, so just be careful. And what we're going to do now is come out of posture, and you're going to come into a reclined position. So just come and lie down on the mat. I will talk you through Shavasana in a seated position myself, but do lie down. Spread the feet nice and wide. Okay, if you need to head off now, by all means do. Okay. But we'll if you've got a lesson, period 6, but I'll do about 5 minutes of Shavasana for those that are able to stay behind. Okay. So what I want, thanks for that. Cheers. What I want you to do is just lie down if you haven't already. Close the eyes down. Okay. Just bring the shoulder blades maybe towards one another a fraction. Just wriggle the shoulder blades together a little bit. Okay. And then just relax the upper body. Knuckles come down onto the ground. And if you haven't already, do close the eyes down. So what I want you to think about here is just trying to feel yourself there in this present moment. Okay, I know that might sound a little bit odd, but just really try and notice how your body's feeling. All right, you might pick a particular part of it, or maybe you'll do a body scan, but just really observe yourself there right now in this present moment. So much of the time we're reflecting on the past or thinking about the future, often about things that never end up happening. But just stay in this present moment now, because this really is what the meditative experience is about. And just begin to slowly and gently deepen the breath. And I really want you to think about bringing awareness to being, okay? This being that I'm talking about is, of course, the combination of your body and mind, all right? There's a big philosophical debate as to whether or not they're separate. We won't worry about that now, but just bring your attention to your body and just focus in on it really closely now. Just try your best to really feel how the body feels against the ground, how it feels against your clothes. Just whatever's happening in this moment in your internal experience, just play out in your mind, okay? Just take a few breaths here in quiet. And what I want you to do now is just bring a renewed focus onto the breath, however that breath manifests itself. I don't want you to try and control it in any way. Just let it come and let it go. Try and feel every part of your body that's affected by the breath. The exhalation of the belly, the stomach, the abdomen, how it feels coming through the nostrils, coming down the windpipe. Just try and notice something you've never noticed before. Be genuinely curious about your breath at this stage and how it manifests in your mind's eye. And we're going to maintain a soft focus on our breath, but now try and listen. Try and listen to the external sounds, whatever they might be. Maybe there's some background noise in another room, or the ticking of a clock. Maybe there's some music coming from somewhere. Maybe it's silent, in which case just explore that silence and just bring your attention to that external domain, okay? Just give you a couple of moments just to really hone in on that, really focus in on that silence or that background noise. What we're going to try and see here is building a connectivity, if you like, between the external sounds and our internal sounds. Because many people wrongly think that meditation is about controlling our thoughts and kind of blocking our thoughts out, and that's completely wrong. Instead, it's about being just as curious and as interested in our internal dialogue as we have just been being about the external dialogue. And what people really mean when they say block thoughts out in meditation is they mean really treating those internal sounds in our minds, the chatter of the mind or the emotions that we feel, treating those in the same way that we treat the external sounds. Maybe there is a clock ticking, and you actually probably haven't noticed that external sound for most of this practice. And that, if you like, is the secret, well, one of the many secrets and joys of meditation, is merging the internal and the external worlds and seeing them as one happening, because that's what they are. They are one internal experience. And we find it easy to let the external sounds wash over us, but we tend to take the internal sounds far too seriously. And this is natural. But in the same way that you're just going to let any external sound just wash over you and non-judgmentally just let it come and let it go from your conscious awareness, your cognizance, so too should you treat your internal sounds in the same way. Your thoughts, your racing mind, your worries, your hopes, your fears, your desires, all of these things can be treated with practice in the same way that we treat those external sounds. They are just one occurrence in your mind's eye, in what we call your qualia. So just take a few moments now to really have that soft focus on the breath, and any time thoughts emerge in your mind, just bring your attention to them. Bring your focus towards them, accept them, and allow them just to dissipate out, to wash over you, if you like, in the same way you would treat those external sounds. Because it's one experience. Just stay with the breath. Stay with those sentiments, just for the last part of this meditation now. Anytime the mind wanders, just bring the attention back to the breath. Just let the external and the internal just wash over you. Come and go. No judgment, no resentment. Just experience of this present moment. So just gently now, start to wiggle the toes and the feet. Slowly blinking the eyes open, and in your own time, come to a seated position on the mat or wherever you are. No rush. Meditation is often considered an unattainable goal, but just like anything, it's something you need to practice, something that does take some work and dedication. But I hope, I've been able to instill this really important message that there is only one experience. Yeah, you all have one internal experience. You take inputs from outside, and you take other inputs from inside, and you create a single picture, very complex picture, but a single picture in your mind at any one time. And to that end, we can treat the external and the internal in the same way, whereas so often we tend to see them as separate, different things. Because the truth of it is that reality for you, for me, for everyone else is simply an internal experience. Okay, the external world probably exists. We can get pretty philosophical about this, but your experience of it is contained inside your skull. And to that degree, you can almost use that as the hack, the life hack, to realize that both environments are in some respect the same, are in every respect, I would argue, the same, in fact. And they are just one single event, one single happening. So I hope that makes sense, and thank you all ever so much for following along today, and wish you all a namaste. Thank you very much, everyone, and do take care.